Hello everybody, what's up, and welcome back to the Starcraft 2 Own It Shack. It is David here, once again going to be bringing you a Starcraft tutorial. And today we're going to be looking at a Zerg tutorial, as you can see here. Going to be the Zerg player AAA Nurkio, or Nurchio, not sure how you pronounce that, but that's fine. His opponent is going to be MYM Sase. Again, don't know how you pronounce that, but it is not the point of this video. We're going to be learning some Zerg versus Protoss, a matchup that has been requested quite a few times. And as I promised, I always listen to your comments. I really want to make sure that all of you are pleased, so I am going to be giving you this strategy video. And what we're going to be looking at here is how to deal with Void Rays from your Protoss opponent. I know I just released a video showing how Terran can deal with that. And you know what? Zerg has to deal with this too. Everyone has to deal with Void Rays. They're extremely annoying. They're very common. Probably the only thing more common than that is the 4-gate versus a Zerg, PvZ. But anyways, yeah, so that's what this is going to be about. And as you can see here, the map is Metalopolis, immediately sending his Overlord over here to check if your opponent is there. Going to help you get scout out a bit faster. He'll know not to scout there now, of course. Meanwhile, just continue to pump drones. It's the early game, guys. Not really much to say here. And just so you know, a build order will, as always, be included for you in the description of this video. You can see that the spawning pool is going to go down at 14 supply. Of course, he drops down to 13 once it's placed there, because you lose a drone for each building as Zerg. Whoa. Well, okay, you know what? Never mind. I thought I said something really weird there. Maybe I did. Anyways, it's not important. So the pylon is now going down, and really there's nothing you can do to stop this. Your early expansion has been completely negated, so what we're going to do instead is just throw down the Extractor. This is a very solid build. Even, you know, if you're planning this to begin with, it's very solid. Doesn't matter. As you can see, the pylon is cancelled there, and all is well and good in the world. Drone is going to be scouting cross-map first. As you can see, he's queuing up his movements right there to see what his Protoss opponent is doing. Now, scouting this build is going to be very important. You're going to really want to make sure that your Protoss opponent is not going to be going for the 4-gate build. Now, it's kind of hard to tell that sometimes. We can see the drone gets in there, sees the cybernetics core, and the important thing here is he's going to see 2 gas. With a 4-gate, you probably wouldn't see 2 gas. Zerg versus Protoss, typically the Protoss opponent, if they're 4-gating, is going to just want 1 gas because they won't need as many sentries. Prefer to get Stalkers and Zealots, which really don't cost much gas at all. And that's what you're going to see here. You can see he's transferring those probes over now to fully mine that gas. And so that should be the first sign that there might be some Void Rays coming. It's this gas. As always, gas indicates higher tech. Now, there's nothing you can do to respond to this right now. You're going to be continuing to move that drone around here. Meanwhile, throwing down your expansion at home. This is while you're researching Metabolic Boost. And you already got a few Zerglings. You can make more Zerglings if you see some kind of pressure like a 2-gate coming. You're really going to need that. But as you can see, no such threat is on the way. Just keep in mind he is chrono boosting out his warp gate technology. And, you know, just keep this drone alive. You're going to want to see as much as you can. And if you can get an Overlord in position somewhere here, you might actually be able to see that Stargate when it comes down. Unfortunately, our drone does die once the Stalker comes out, and that is exactly when our Protoss opponent lays down his Stargate. Any good Protoss player, any good player in general, will wait for your scout to leave before they put their tech down. And this is something Zerg has a lot of trouble with. Zerg is not great at scouting. Terrans have scans, Protoss have observers. It's kind of difficult sometimes. And so what you're going to want is do some forward scouting. And that's what you're going to see here. He's got 2 Zerglings, 1 at each Xel'Naga watchtower, so he can see if Void Ray comes, and then he can react to it. Sadly, we won't get vision of that Stargate before it completes, but, you know, this is the next best alternative. And that's what you're going to have to settle with. As you can see, we did get the Roach Warren. This is in case a 4-gate was coming, and really, of course, you need Roaches versus a 4-gate. Zerglings will simply not do the job. Now, this is a bit of worry for a player. We see all of these forces coming. We see a pylon. Oh, sorry, maybe that's later in the game. Of course, I do watch these in advance. But yeah, we see the Void Ray is now on the way. And this is the timing you're going to want to see. Of course, he's going to get a ton of Roaches because he does fear that 4-gate push is coming. And he's also going to get a Spine Crawler. Very nice placement here. It will protect you versus any 4-gate push your opponent might throw at you. So that's extremely important. And he actually manages to throw his Zergling up the ramp there. Another very key point in this game, because he manages to see that Void Ray. Now, because he saw that Void Ray, what he should be doing, also going to be taking out that pylon that I mentioned earlier, is you're going to want to get out more queens. Hydras are a long way away at this point. You're going to need queens to deal that damage versus the void ray. That's your only anti-air. So you're going to see that the Zerg player will get a few more queens quite a bit soon. There he sees the void ray. It's now on his, well, near his main at least. And as you can see, one queen is being produced. He should already have two because he did go for that fast expansion. Oh dear, he does not have two. My mistake. But anyways, yeah, now he's going to get two more. And that should be what you want to do. Now, of course, these roaches are pretty much forfeit at this point, so he's trying to do as much damage as he possibly can with them. Just taking out a few stalkers, taking on the pylons to possibly supply block your opponent, as well as keep him, you know, somewhat on guard. The Void Ray is going to mop up all of this quite easily, but at least you can take control of the ground while your anti-air comes out. Notice he's not going to be getting an evolution chamber to get those static Ds, the spore crawlers. Instead, he's just going to be getting these queens. Now, another extremely important thing that we just saw him do there is he gets creep tumors. Meanwhile, going to be using them. Well, sorry, never mind. Just let me continue about the creep tumors. These are so important. Look at these queens. They're almost helpless off of creep. And against Void Rays, you need all the creep you can get. So you can catch up to these and do this kind of thing. Snipe a Void Ray when you can. Notice queen production is constant. Meanwhile, going to be testing the front with these Zerglings, seeing continual Void Ray production. And no expansion had been started yet. Of course, we can see now that it is. Now the next step here in this build is you're going to want to get Lair tech. This is obviously so you can get Hydralisks. Hydralisks, not only great against Void Rays, they're also awesome against gateway units. Of course, with Void Rays coming out all the time, there's no way your opponent is going to have enough to afford Colossi, the hard counter to Hydras. So you are completely safe in getting a Lair and then getting Hydralisks afterwards. Notice that we now have a grand total of 4 queens. That's going to be just dandy to deal with any number of Void Rays. With good transfusions, you should easily be able to micro. Now, of course, at the lower levels, that might be a little bit difficult, and so you might want to get 1 or 2 extra queens. As we can see, you have enough minerals to do so. You can see he is continuing to get queens. Going to bring that total up to 5 queens. Meanwhile, the Lair is almost finished. And this is going to be important. As you can see, he wastes no time putting that Hydralisk den down. There it goes, right at about 77 supply. Kind of unfortunate, these are a tier 2 unit now. But you know what, that's how the game goes. Going to be just scouting around with these Zerglings. Keeping active vision over the entire map is very important as Zerg. You need to see all the attacks coming. And your creep spread should help you with that as well. You can see he's continuing to push out further and further. Now look at these queens. 3 Void Rays, not a chance. Your queens should easily deal with any of that. Protoss is forced to back out quite quickly there. And we're still getting queens. 2 more on the way. Hydralisk Den is now complete, so we should see some Hydras coming out pretty soon as well. Going to be a very good unit. And as you can see, the creep spread, it's so vast right now that really your queens can get anywhere on the map quite easily. They're quite fast running on creep. You can see there. And you know what? That's pretty much the build. I mean, at this point, you've essentially countered what your opponent had, and unless he makes some crazy tech switch, there's really not going to be much he can do. Even off creep, these queens should easily be able to repel those. We're going to be expanding here, and, well, here, but he does manage to cancel that one. Now, as you can see, the Hydras are now finally coming out, and once you have the Roach Hydra combination, you should easily be able to maul your opponent with that, especially with these 2 extra bases coming out. At this point, you really have full map control. It might not seem like that, but this creep is going to allow you to get to any of these bases extremely quickly and essentially counter any attack your opponent might throw at you with relative ease. The other thing we're getting is grooved spines. We need that to get our Hydralisk range. It's an extremely important upgrade. There's no reason why you shouldn't. And notice how the creep that we've been spreading this whole time is going to really benefit your Hydras as well. As you can see, there's great synergy with this build. The Hydras are a very slow unit off of creep, but once on creep, they become extremely powerful. 11 more Hydras are on the way. We're even going to be getting the pneumatized Carapace. In fact, we also have Roach Speed coming out. Really, all your upgrades are easily able to be researched at this point. We can see we have enough minerals to do so. And this is the final push by your opponent. Look at how zealot heavy he is because of all the gas he spent on the sentries. That's going to do absolutely nothing, really. This is pretty much as all in as you can get. There goes the Guardian Shield. What you're going to want to do is just pull back, use your queen to transfuse. The Hydralisk should mop up these zealots immediately. no amount of force fields is going to save your opponent in this case. Just look at how fast those Zealots die. And the Hydras with the creep easily able to come up, run the Void Rays and take them down. We see Void Rays are being sniped there quite easily. At this point, there's really one option left for your opponent. Well, really two. He can either GG, or he can simply rage quit out of the game. Sadly, in this case, we see the rage quit. Seems to be a common trend in the games I cast these days. But anyways, yeah, that's the build. As you can see, it's extremely effective. And hopefully, you Zerg players that are having difficulty with Void Rays, you know, should be able to use this build to at least win, you know, a decent amount. So I hope you enjoyed this, as always. Check the description for a build order. And peace out, guys. Hope to see you again for another Daily Dose of Ownage.